Hey there, everybody. This is George from DinosaurGeorge.com. All right, Abraham from Los Angeles, California says, do you think Carnotaurus hunted titanosaurs in packs? P.S. Your Jurassic Fight Club was awesome. Abraham, so glad you like JFC. I enjoyed the heck out of making it. Carnotaurus, yeah, you know what? I do think they would have hunted in packs because, again, there's so many benefits to hunting in a pack. Hunting in pack allows you to do things that hunting singularly just doesn't let you do. And a dinosaur like Carnotaurus was not a giant by any stretch, so I do believe that it would have hunted in packs, especially if it was going to try to take on some of these bigger dinosaurs like titanosaurs and some of those sauropods. All right, Keith from Sandy, Utah says, Dear George, I came across your blog some time ago and recently looked at your website from a link at Jurassic Park Legacy. Though I'm rather new at this, I myself am a dinosaur adventurer. Keith, that's a cool title. I'm glad to hear that. Keith had said, I noticed in your trip to Utah that you filmed at the North American Museum of Ancient Life. Yeah, I did. We filmed a lot there for Jurassic Fight Club. That is a spectacular museum. In fact, I filmed all over Utah and got some great footage in different museums. Basically, Keith wants to know if I would have a chance to go look at his website. He's traveled all across Utah this past year in August and posted pictures there, and he's planning a trip to Montana on the Dinosaur Trail this summer. Well, I'll tell you something, Keith. I went to your website. His website is ammonitepictures.com. I went to your site, and I really liked it. It was really cool. I really appreciate the fact, Keith, that people like you are willing to go out, take your time and effort to take photographs and post those for other people to see. Well, sometimes we take for granted that we have the opportunity to go to some of these museums, but there's other folks that may never get that chance. So they get the opportunity to see these museums through photographs from people like yourself. So, Keith, I applaud you for what you're doing, and I'm glad to hear you're going to be heading off to Montana to go to other places. Make sure and post some pictures, and I'll periodically drop by your website and check it out. All right, Gareth from, I think this is pronounced Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. Kelowna, is that right? I hope that's right, Gareth. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Anyway, Gareth says, Hi, Dinosaur George. I was wondering, how do you know that dinosaurs lived in different time periods? For example, how do you know that T-Rex didn't live in the Jurassic period? Thanks. Hope you're doing well. Goodbye. Gareth, I am doing well. Thank you for the kind sentiment. I hope you're doing well as well. Okay, here's the way it works. Think of layers of dirt in the ground like you would pages in a book. Each page or layer of dirt represents a different time period. And so if you open up your book and you go to page, let's say 100, let's say that represents a time when Tyrannosaurus was alive. So we find page 100 all over the world. Different places still have that same page, meaning that same reference of time. How do we know what time that represents? Well, geologists and paleontologists have ways of actually dating some of the rocks from within that layer or page in our book. And so let's say they date those rocks from that page, and it tells us that that page represents 65 million years ago. Well, then we know that during 65 million years ago, that falls in the Cretaceous time period. So that page of dirt represents 65 million years ago. Well, we look at that page or that layer of dirt and we find the bones from different animals. And that tells us, okay, those animals lived at that time. So we know Tyrannosaurus lived on page 100 in our history book, and that page represents 65 million years ago. Now, if we go further down our book or further back in time, let's say we go to page 300, okay? On that page, we find Allosaurus bones and Brachiosaurus and Stegosaurus and Diplodocus. So that tells us, okay, on that particular layer of dirt, that represents different kinds of animals. And so again, geologists and paleontologists can estimate the age of that layer and therefore give us an idea of what lived then. So we can go to different places in the world. We can find what page or layer of dirt they're in. We know the age of those layers of dirt because we test them all over the world, and that tells us who lived at what time. And that tells us T-Rex lived on page 100, and Allosaurus lived on page 200. There you go. So the next time somebody asks you how long ago Tyrannosaurus Rex lived, tell them, oh, he lived 100 pages ago. They'll think you're nuts. All right, Alex from Richmond, Indiana. Dear DG, I've always wondered what those books that you have on your shelf are behind you. Are they any good? Well, you know, Alex, these books back here behind me, these are really set up sort of as a prop, just so that you don't have to look at an empty wall, or if you get tired of looking at my ugly face, you can look at something else. But on this table, I happen to pull some of my favorite books. First of all, the Dinosauria is there. Now, that's a very good book, and I'd always recommend that to anybody that wants to really get into some detail about dinosaurs. Second of all, there's a book called Dinosaurs. It's written by Dr. Thomas Holtz, who I really respect a lot. He's a genius when it comes to dinosaurs, in my opinion, and he's written a tremendous book. There's also the Simon & Schuster Encyclopedia of Dinosaurs, which I like. And then there is Prehistoric Flying Reptiles. And then there is the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Dinosaurs. Those two books are there because the artist who did most of the artwork, I really like that guy a lot. He is an incredible artist. He's from England, I believe. Okay, but there's tons of other good books out there. As a matter of fact, one book that's missing from here is probably the definitive book on Tyrannosaurus Rex. It was written by Dr. Ken Carpenter and Pete Larson. It is an incredible book. I think it's called Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I recommend that book to everybody that wants to learn about Tyrannosaurs. I know you can buy it on I think you can get it in Barnes & Noble. I know you can get it at Amazon because I bought a copy there. Okay, finally, Rick from Munising, Michigan. Hey, DG, I know you get a lot of questions every month, so I hope you get my question. Well, Rick, yours was chosen, so congratulations, buddy. Basically, I'm curious to know your opinion on cryptozoology, the study of hidden animals. Aside from paleontology, cryptozoology is my favorite scientific field and deals with scouring the world for animals unrecognized by modern science. I know a lot of people disregard cryptozoology, saying naive things like, Bigfoot doesn't exist. So my question is, what is your view on cryptozoology? Do you think there could be animals like giant American ape living among us? Or do you think cryptozoologists are wasting their time? Rick, nobody who is studying anything to do with science, in my opinion, is wasting their time. I applaud people who are willing to look outside of that scientific box we sometimes put ourselves in and look at things from a different point of view. I find it depressing at the sheer number of people who feel that their opinion is so superior to someone else's that they would have the nerve to call them dumb or stupid or say that something they're studying is ignorant or they're saying something foolish. That stuns me. Science, the very basic science, is that we should always be probing and looking at different points of view. And we should be embracing people who look at things from a different point of view. Now, it doesn't mean you have to agree with them. I don't always agree with everything anybody says, but I don't dismiss them as being kooks because something they believe isn't something I believe. Do I think that Bigfoot exists? I've never seen any evidence that tells me it did. But am I so naive as to think that it's not possible? Of course not. Planet Earth is a big place. There are a lot of things on this planet we don't know about. They're discovering new species of animals all the time. So my recommendation to you would be that if somebody tells you that that's a foolish science to study, don't waste your time paying attention to them. Usually those are people that have such limited self-assurance that they would rather tear down somebody else than admit that they don't have all the answers. So my suggestion is don't pay attention to them. You study what you want to study. I think cryptozoology is interesting. All right, that's it for this time. If you have a question, go to my website, dinosaurgeorge.com. Click on the Ask Dinosaur George page and send me your question. Until I talk to you guys again, take care of yourself and the people around you. And always, always use good manners. And for you young people, continue to practice those reading skills. I will see you guys all again soon.